You've heard the advice 100 times. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Most jobs are filled through referrals. Networking is everything. And every time you hear it, the same voice in your head responds, "Great, but what if I don't know anyone?" Maybe you moved cities. Maybe you took years off to raise kids and your old network has gone quiet. Maybe you're switching industries and the people you know aren't in the right one. Maybe you grew up without family connections in professional industries and you're the first person in your circle to even attempt this kind of career. Whatever the reason, you're sitting there reading networking advice that assumes you have a network to leverage, and you don't. And here's the part that nobody talks about. That assumption, that everyone has a Rolodex of warm contacts to call, is increasingly wrong. A massive portion of the workforce in 2026 is job searching without strong professional connections. You're not the exception. You're the majority that career advice keeps ignoring. Today, I'm going to walk you through how to actually get a job when you don't have insiders, references, or warm introductions to lean on. Not theory, not just be more confident and put yourself out there. A real strategy for people starting from zero. Before we get into it, thanks to InterviewMate for sponsoring this episode. If you don't have an inside connection getting your application reviewed, your written materials have to do all the work, and that includes your cover letter. Most candidates either skip it or send the same generic one to every company. InterviewMate generates a cover letter tailored to the exact job posting you paste in, ATS optimized, in 60 seconds. When you don't have a network, this is how you compete. One subscription, unlimited letters. interviewmate.ai/cover-letter. Let's kill the myth that you need pre-existing connections. The data on this is interesting. Yes, somewhere between 30 and 70% of jobs are filled through referrals or some form of internal recommendation, depending on which study you read. But that means somewhere between 30 and 70% are not. That's millions of jobs every year filled by people who applied through normal channels without knowing anyone inside. The networking is everything narrative isn't wrong, it's just oversold. It comes from people who already have networks and don't realize how their advice sounds to people who don't. The truth is that connections accelerate a job search. They're a shortcut, but they're not the only path. And in 2026, with remote work, online communities, and the ability to research and contact almost anyone, building a network from inside a job search is more possible than it has ever been. So you have two strategies running in parallel. One, optimize the traditional no-network application path so it actually works. 2. Build connections from scratch, fast, deliberately, and as part of your search itself. Let's go through both. Strategy 1. Make the application path actually work. If you can't rely on referrals to bypass the AI screening filters, you need your application to clear them on its own. That means 3 things. First, apply only to roles where you genuinely match the requirements. When you have no internal advocate, your resume has to do all the work. A weak match gets filtered out instantly. Stop wasting energy on jobs where you're a stretch. Focus on roles where you can clearly see yourself meeting at least 70 to 80% of the requirements. Volume without precision is just noise. Second, tailor every application aggressively. Without a referral lifting your file out of the pile, your resume and cover letter need to mirror the job description so closely that the AI scoring tool basically can't reject you. The keywords have to be there, the phrasing has to match. The summary at the top of your resume has to read like it was written for this specific role. This is more work, but for people without connections, it's how you compensate. Third, apply quickly after a job is posted. Studies show that applications submitted in the first 3 to 5 days after a posting goes live get significantly more attention than ones submitted later. Recruiters review applications in waves, and the early wave gets more thorough review than the late one. Set up job alerts so you see new postings the day they appear, and have your tailored materials ready to submit within 48 hours. Strategy 2. Build a network from inside the search. You can build genuine professional connections during your job search, even starting from zero. It takes work, but it's a learnable skill. Most job seekers find a posting and apply. People without networks need to invert this. Find companies you'd want to work for, even if they don't have an open role right now, and identify the people who work in roles or teams adjacent to where you'd want to be. Not the executives, not the founders, people 1 or 2 levels above where you'd start. Senior individual contributors, team leads, managers, These are the people who actually have hiring influence, who post jobs from their teams, and who are most likely to respond to thoughtful outreach. Make a list of 20 to 30 of them across 5 to 10 companies. This is your warm network in progress. Move 2. Engage before you ask for anything. This is where most cold outreach attempts fail. People send a "would love to connect and pick your brain" message to someone they've never interacted with, and they get ignored. Of course they get ignored. Instead, spend 2 to 3 weeks before you reach out, engaging with these people's work. Comment thoughtfully on their LinkedIn posts. Reply to their content with your own perspective. You're showing up in their notifications as someone who's engaged, not as a stranger asking for a favor. By the time you do reach out directly, they've already seen your name 3 or 4 times. You're a familiar stranger, not a cold one. That dramatically changes how your message lands. Move 3. When you do reach out, make it specific and easy to say yes to. Here's the message template that works. Hi name, I've been following your work on specific topic or project, and I really appreciate specific insight or perspective they shared. I'm exploring opportunities in their space and would love to learn how you've thought about specific question. Would you be open to a 15-minute call? 3 things make this work. It's specific. You reference real content they've shared. It's flattering without being slimy. You appreciate their work, not just their job title. And it's small. 15 minutes, 1 question. Easy to say yes to. Don't ask for a job. Don't ask them to forward your resume. Don't ask them to introduce you to their boss. Just ask for a short conversation. The job conversation, if it happens, comes naturally, after they know you, after they like you, and after they trust that recommending you wouldn't reflect badly on them. Move 4. Build a public footprint, even a small one. If you have no network, the alternative to reaching out is being findable. When recruiters search LinkedIn for candidates with your skills, your profile needs to surface. When hiring managers Google your name, something professional needs to come up. This doesn't mean becoming a LinkedIn influencer. It means 3 small things: a complete, optimized LinkedIn profile with the right keywords in your headline and summary, 2 or 3 thoughtful posts or comments per week on industry topics, and, if relevant to your field, contributions on other platforms, a portfolio site, a GitHub for technical work, published writing for content roles. Over a few months, this footprint compounds. People start finding you. Recruiters reach out. You move from being invisible to being a real, searchable professional with a digital identity. Strategy 3. Use recruiters as your network. Recruiters are the most underutilized network available to people without connections. They literally exist to connect candidates to jobs, they have access to roles before they're publicly posted, and they're paid to find people like you. Yet most job seekers wait for recruiters to reach out, and then complain when they don't. Reverse this. Build a deliberate list of 10 to 15 recruiters who specialize in your industry, function, and geography. Connect with them on LinkedIn with a short, specific message introducing yourself and what you're looking for. Engage with their posts. Reach out periodically with updates. Hi, just wanted to flag that I'm actively looking again. Here's my updated focus. Let me know if anything in your pipeline fits. A good recruiter remembers responsive, professional candidates and reaches out when relevant roles open. Treat recruiters like business partners. You're not bothering them by being proactive. You're making their job easier, and every recruiter you build a relationship with is another person actively scouting opportunities on your behalf. Strategy 4. Communities are warm introductions you don't need a friend for. Find online and in-person communities in your industry. Niche subreddits, professional Slack groups, Discord servers, LinkedIn groups, local meetups, alumni networks, industry conferences. Join them, show up regularly, contribute, answer questions, help people. When you're a known, active member of a community, even an online one, that community becomes a soft network. People remember your name. They tag you when they see relevant job postings. They DM you when their company is hiring. You didn't start with connections, but you built them by being useful to people you didn't know. This works because communities have a fundamentally different dynamic than cold outreach. You're not asking anyone for anything, you're participating. And participation, over time, creates the exact kind of relationships that lead to job opportunities without the awkwardness of networking. Quick recap. The myth that you need pre-existing connections is overstated. Millions of jobs are filled without them every year. To compete without a network, you need to do two things in parallel. Tighten your application strategy. Fewer applications, sharper tailoring, faster turnaround. And build a network from inside the search. Identify specific people, engage with their work before reaching out, send specific small-ass messages, build a public footprint, treat recruiters as partners, and become a known member of a community in your field. You don't need to know people already. You need to become someone worth knowing, and to find them deliberately. That's a skill. It's learnable. Check out InterviewMate at interviewmate.ai/cover-letter. When you don't have insider connections, every application needs to land on its own merits. A tailored, ATS-friendly cover letter in 60 seconds for every job you apply to on one subscription. Stop sending the same generic letter and start giving yourself the edge. Link in the description. If this gave you a new way to think about your job search, share it with someone who's been told to just network by people who don't realize how impossible that sounds. Subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.